Every smartphone on the planet, every AI server running right now, every fighter jet, every missile guidance system, every electric car rolling off a factory floor. They all have something in common. They all depend on chips made in one place, one island, 36,000 square kilometers, smaller than the state of Maryland. And right now, in April 2026, China has warships circling that island. Fighter jets entering its airspace almost daily, and the world's most powerful militaries are quietly repositioning just in case. This is not a story about a small island. This is a story about who controls the future, and it starts, like most world-changing stories do, with a civil war. To understand Taiwan, you have to go back to 1911. The Qing dynasty, the last imperial dynasty of China, collapses after more than 260 years. What follows is decades of chaos, warlords, foreign invasions, and a brutal civil war between two competing visions for what China should be. On one side, Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang, the nationalists. On the other, Mao Zedong and the Communist Party. They fight Japan together during World War II. The moment Japan surrenders in 1945, they turn on each other. By 1949, it is over. Mao wins. The People's Republic of China is proclaimed in Beijing on October 1st. 2 million nationalist soldiers, government officials, intellectuals, and their families board ships. They sail east, 180 kilometers across the Taiwan Strait, to the island of Formosa. Chiang Kai-shek declares that Taiwan is the true seat of the legitimate Chinese government. His plan: regroup, rearm, and reconquer the mainland. That reconquest never comes. But the two governments, one in Beijing, one in Taipei, each insisting they are the real China, that standoff never ends. For decades, Taiwan exists in a strange diplomatic limbo. It has its own military, its own currency, its own elections. But most countries in the world refuse to officially recognize it, because recognizing Taiwan means offending Beijing, and Beijing is too important to offend. But here is where the story gets extraordinary. Instead of spending the next 70 years being absorbed by China, Taiwan does something almost no one predicted. It builds one of the most remarkable economies in human history. In 1960, Taiwan's GDP per capita was roughly the same as Congo's. By 2025, it was over $35,000. It became one of the 4 Asian tigers, alongside South Korea, Hong Kong, and Singapore, transforming from a poor agricultural island into a high-tech powerhouse in a single generation. The secret weapon? Silicon. Not the kind you find in the ground. The kind humans learn to carve into circuits smaller than a human hair. In 1987, a man named Morris Chang, a Texas Instruments engineer who had spent his career in the United States, returned to Taiwan with a radical idea. Instead of designing chips, what if a company focused entirely on manufacturing them for everyone else? He founded Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC. At the time, no one thought it would work. The semiconductor industry was dominated by American and Japanese giants who designed and built their own chips. A company that only manufactured for hire? It seemed like a niche idea at best. It was not a niche idea. It was the idea that would reshape the entire global economy. Today, TSMC controls approximately 70% of the global semiconductor foundry market. Its nearest competitor, Samsung, holds just 7%. There is no second place. There is TSMC, and then there is everyone else. And the products this one company makes are not optional. They are the foundation of everything. The chips in your iPhone, the processors powering ChatGPT and every AI model running today, the guidance systems in US military aircraft, the processors in Chinese fighter jets. Everyone is a customer of Taiwan. Taiwan produces more than 90% of the world's most advanced chips, the ones that are too complex for anyone else to make. If that supply chain stopped tomorrow, the global economy would not slow down. It would collapse. Analysts call this the silicon shield. The theory is simple. Taiwan is so indispensable to the global economy that no rational actor, not even China, would risk destroying it in a military conflict. Because the moment the fabs go dark, China's economy collapses too. It's a beautiful theory. History has a way of being less elegant. You might be wondering, if chips are this important, why doesn't China just build its own? It's a fair question, and the answer is, it's trying. Harder than almost anything it has ever attempted. China's largest chip maker is called SMIC. Founded in 2000, partially owned by the Chinese government, backed by hundreds of billions in state subsidies. By 2024, it had become the world's third largest foundry, behind only TSMC and Samsung. And in 2022, SMIC did something that shocked the industry. Without access to the world's most advanced chip-making machine, a device called an EUV lithography machine, made by a Dutch company called ASML, SMIC produced a 7-nanometer chip. Without the tool everyone said was required to do it. Here's why that matters. EUV machines use extreme ultraviolet light to etch circuits onto silicon. They cost nearly $500 million each. ASML makes the only ones in the world. And the United States has pressured the Netherlands to ban their sale to China. Without EUV, making advanced chips was supposed to be impossible. SMIC found a workaround. Instead of one EUV pass, they used older DUV machines. 34 separate steps where EUV does it in 9. It is slower, costlier, and the yields, the percentage of chips that come out working, were below 50% as recently as 2024. But it worked. Sort of. The gap, however, is not closing. It is growing. While SMIC struggles to produce 7-nanometer chips at meaningful scale, TSMC began mass production of 2-nanometer chips in late 2025. That is 3 full generations ahead. And the further the frontier moves, the harder it becomes to catch up without the tools you're not allowed to buy. China's own ASML equivalent, a homegrown EUV lithography prototype, was reportedly completed in early 2025 in a high-security Shenzhen laboratory. It fills nearly an entire factory floor. It is being tested. It is not yet in production. Industry analysts estimate it is a decade behind ASML's current generation. China is running hard, on a track that keeps getting longer. To understand why China is willing to risk everything for Taiwan, you have to understand what Taiwan represents. Not economically, but symbolically. For the Chinese Communist Party, Taiwan is the last wound of what they call the century of humiliation. From 1839 to 1949, China was carved up, colonized, and humiliated by foreign powers: Britain, Japan, France, Russia. Taiwan is the last piece of that unfinished puzzle. Xi Jinping has made reunification with Taiwan a central pillar of his political identity. He has said explicitly that the Taiwan question cannot be passed from generation to generation. He means it. The question is not whether China wants Taiwan. It is how and when it might try to take it. And there is something else China wants, something perhaps even more valuable than symbolic reunification. TSMC. If China controlled Taiwan's semiconductor industry, it would control the nervous system of the entire global economy. Every nation on Earth would be dependent on Beijing for the chips that run their hospitals, their military, their financial systems. China has been building toward a military option for decades. The People's Liberation Army of 1996, when China last fired missiles near Taiwan during a tense standoff, was a relatively backwards force. The PLA of 2026 is something else entirely. China's defense budget for 2026 is approximately $278 billion, a 7% increase over 2025. It is the fastest military modernization program in human history. New aircraft carriers, hypersonic missiles, advanced cyber warfare units, an anti-satellite weapons program designed specifically to blind U.S. communications in a conflict. In late December 2025, China launched its 6th major military exercise around Taiwan since 2022. Ships encircled the island. Dozens of fighter jets entered Taiwan's air defense identification zone. It was, by all accounts, a rehearsal for a blockade. Taiwan's president, William Lai, responded with a stark warning. He called for a $40 billion increase in military spending. The coming year, 2026, will be a crucial one for Taiwan, he said. We must make plans for the worst, but hope for the best. And yet, Taiwan's own legislature is blocking that military spending. The opposition Kuomintang Party, which historically favored dialogue with Beijing, controls the parliament. Taiwan is trying to defend itself with one hand tied behind its back. Meanwhile, the United States approved an $11 billion arms package for Taiwan, triggering Beijing's most aggressive military response in years. Washington's position on defending Taiwan remains deliberately vague, a policy known for decades as strategic ambiguity. The United States has never definitively said it will send troops if China invades. President Trump's response to China's December exercises was characteristic. I have a great relationship with President Xi. I don't believe he's going to be doing it. Strategic ambiguity, or something closer to strategic indifference. Nobody in Taipei is entirely sure. In 2021, U.S. Admiral Philip Davidson, then commander of Indo-Pacific forces, told Congress he believed China wanted to be ready to invade Taiwan within 6 years. That warning became known as the Davidson Window. 6 years from 2021 is 2027. We are almost there. The U.S. intelligence community's latest assessment, released in March 2026, walked back some of that urgency. It concluded that an imminent invasion is unlikely, partly because China's military has been rattled by an anti-corruption purge that removed many of its highest-ranking officers. Xi has effectively reset his own military's clock, but the assessment was careful not to say the threat is over. China's military is still making steady but uneven progress on the capabilities it would need to seize Taiwan and deter U.S. intervention. The purge bought time. It did not change the destination. And there is a new variable in 2026 that wasn't in Admiral Davidson's calculation: the Strait of Hormuz. As we covered in our last episode, the war in Iran has stretched U.S. military resources across the Middle East. Taiwan is watching carefully. China is watching more carefully still. Let's talk about what a conflict over Taiwan actually means for the rest of the world. Not the geopolitics, the economics, the daily life of every person on Earth. Taiwan produces more than 90% of the world's leading-edge chips, the ones below 7 nanometers that power advanced AI, modern smartphones, and precision military systems. There is no backup supplier. Not yet. TSMC's factories in Arizona won't be fully operational until 2028 at the earliest, and they will cost 50% more per chip to run. A blockade of Taiwan, even without a single shot being fired, would trigger a global chip shortage that would make the COVID-era shortage look like a minor inconvenience. Car production stops. Hospital equipment stops being manufactured. Consumer electronics gone from shelves within months. Goldman Sachs has estimated that a full conflict scenario could wipe more than $10 trillion from global GDP. That is larger than the entire economy of Germany and France combined. Every country on Earth, including China, would be devastated. Which is why most analysts believe China's preferred path is not invasion, but coercion. Squeeze Taiwan economically, interfere in its elections, isolate it diplomatically, make the silicon shield crack from the inside without ever firing a shot. The world is not sitting still. Governments and corporations, suddenly aware of how fragile this dependency is, have launched the most expensive industrial diversification efforts since World War II. The United States passed the CHIPS Act, directing hundreds of billions of dollars into domestic semiconductor manufacturing. TSMC itself is building 3 factories in Phoenix, Arizona, an investment that has swelled from an initial $12 billion to $165 billion. Japan is subsidizing TSMC's factory in Kumamoto, already operational as of 2024, producing chips for Toyota, Sony, and Denso. Germany is funding a $10 billion fab complex in Dresden. South Korea, India, Israel, Every major economy is trying to get a piece of the semiconductor supply chain that isn't in Taiwan. The challenge? Building a semiconductor fab is not like building a car factory. The most advanced chip requires more than 1,000 individual manufacturing steps. The machines that perform those steps, extreme ultraviolet lithography machines made by a Dutch company called ASML, cost nearly $500 million each. And ASML has a waiting list years long. The expertise is even harder to replicate. TSMC's Arizona plant ran into immediate problems. Costs 4 to 5 times higher than in Taiwan. Cultural clashes between management and local workers. Talent shortages so severe that Taiwanese engineers had to be flown in. The first production line wasn't operational until 2025, already a year behind schedule. The world is trying to escape its dependency on Taiwan. It will take at least a decade, possibly 2. And during that entire time, the Taiwan Strait remains the most dangerous body of water on Earth. In the middle of all this, there are 23 million people living their lives on a subtropical island that the world has decided is the most important piece of real estate on the planet. Taiwan is a democracy, a genuine one. It has free elections, a free press, independent courts. It elected its first female president, Tsai Ing-wen, in 2016. The same year, China began escalating military pressure in direct response. Taiwanese people, surveys show, overwhelmingly prefer the status quo, neither formal independence nor reunification with China. They want to live in peace, run their economy, and not be absorbed into a system they saw destroy Hong Kong's freedoms in a single decade. Hong Kong is never far from anyone's mind in Taipei. In 1997, when Britain handed Hong Kong back to China, Beijing promised one country, 2 systems, that Hong Kong's freedoms would be preserved for 50 years. By 2020, those freedoms were gone. By 2026, Hong Kong is, for all practical purposes, just another Chinese city. When Beijing says peaceful reunification, Taiwan looks at Hong Kong. The answer is no. The Strait of Hormuz controls the world's oil. The Taiwan Strait controls the world's intelligence, the artificial kind. The chips that think, calculate, decide. The infrastructure of the future. 2 straits. 2 choke points. 2 places where geography, technology, and geopolitical ambition have converged into something fragile and enormous. And in both cases, the world has spent decades pretending it could look away. It cannot look away anymore. The question is not whether the Taiwan question will be resolved. It will be, one way or another, in the years ahead. The question is, what kind of world is on the other side of that resolution? Because 23 million people on a small island figured out how to make themselves indispensable to everyone. That is either the greatest insurance policy ever conceived, or the most dangerous target ever painted on a population that just wants to live in peace. If this changed the way you see the world, subscribe now. Because the stories that shape everything, they rarely make the front page. We find them